Hey teachers, have you started working for or are you thinking about working for a company that requires you to create your own curriculum? If you are and you're having trouble kind of deciding or narrowing down what it is you want to teach on a platform like that, this is the podcast episode for you. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a brainstorm session that can hopefully help you narrow down that class that you and only you can offer. I'm really excited for today's episode and for all of the opportunities that lie ahead. So stay tuned. This is going to be a great episode. Hello and welcome to Extra Credit with me, Teacher Michael. This is a podcast made by online educators for online educators. Hello and welcome to the Extra Credit Podcast. I am your host, Michael Venn, also known on the internet as Teacher Michael. Today's episode is going to focus a little bit on Outschool. Outschool, for those of you who have been listening to the podcast for a little while, is a company that you'll know that I recently applied to. And I've been noticing a lot of other online teachers applying to Outschool for a number of reasons. If you've never heard of Outschool, 2 episodes ago, I did an interview with Brooke where we kind of laid out all of the basics, everything that you need to know to get started teaching on Outschool. So if you've never heard of it, I would go and listen to that episode. But just to give you the brief overview, Outschool is a company that allows you to teach whatever class you want. It doesn't have to be a traditional class like science or math or English. You could teach baking or photography or filmmaking, anything that you're passionate about. And that is great. It opens up a lot of opportunities for teachers to teach the things that really fire them up, the things that they're passionate about. But at the same time, I think a lot of teachers find that to be a little bit overwhelming. A lot of teachers that I've heard from are like, yeah, I love the idea of that opportunity, but I don't know what to teach. What should I teach? Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a brainstorming session. I'm going to try to walk you through the process that I've been going through mentally to try to narrow down those things that I have to offer. And my hope is that it'll get you kind of thinking in the right direction so that you can come up with some unique ideas of classes that you can offer on a platform like Outschool. So thank you all for being here. I hope you're excited for this episode. A lot of this comes in the wake of the new VIP Kit announcement about the pay structure. A lot of teachers are really upset about it because they're going to be taking a pay cut. And I feel for them. I know that I feel for them. I'm actually one of them. So I feel for myself, but I also feel for you if you're in that situation. So I know that people are kind of actively looking for opportunities and ways to make up for some of the income that is going to be lost. So Outschool may be one avenue for you to explore. You may find that it's not the right fit, but either way, I just want to walk us all through this brainstorming session and get you thinking about what you could offer as a class on a platform like Outschool or maybe some other platform that I don't even know about yet. The first class that I'm offering is a circus and juggling class. That's something that I'm super fired up about. I'm excited to share that with some of these new students. And I hope by the end of this episode, you're going to have a few ideas of classes that you can offer. So without further ado, let's get into this brainstorming session. All right, so this is going to be a 3-step process. I'm going to ask 3 questions. I'm going to encourage you to think about or even write down the answers to those 3 questions. And I'm hoping that that will lead you towards figuring out what that unique class is that you can offer. So as we start here, I kind of want to disregard anything to do with teaching. Just to start with, okay? I don't want you to be thinking about classes that you used to teach or things that you're certified to teach. I want you to, just for a second, throw all of that out of the window. And I want to focus on this question. What do you love to do? What do you love to spend your time doing? What do you love talking about? What do you love Googling? I think that's a great place to start because when you're offering a class on a platform like Outschool, first of all, you have to create the curriculum. So I believe that if you're not fired up about the class that you're offering, it's going to be a lot harder to spend the time creating a class. Like for me, if I were to try to create a class on math, I just wouldn't do it. I'm not interested in math. It doesn't fire me up, even though there probably is an opportunity to make money teaching a class on math. That's not for me. So I'm not going to spend any time doing that. So I really want you to think about, what is it that you love doing? Hobbies, I don't know, pastimes. Maybe another way to frame that is like, if time and money and family obligations weren't a factor, how would you spend your time? What would you want to do during a day like that? For me, I love cooking. I love making pizza, more specifically, from scratch. So I love spending an afternoon, getting all the ingredients together, making the pizza dough. And then while the dough is rising, I love going to the grocery store and figuring out what those toppings are and trying out new and different toppings for my pizza. Coming back, putting the pizza stone in the oven, getting the oven nice and hot, cooking the sauce, like all of those components that go into making a delicious pizza. I love that. So that could be a class that I could offer. I'm not a professional chef. I don't have, any credentials that say Michael is allowed teaching pizza or pizza making, but I've done it. I've done it hundreds of times, and I love doing it, and I love talking about it. So those are the only requirements that you need on Outschool. You don't have to have official credentials in the subject or the area that you want to teach a class in. So that's where I want you to start. Take some time. Maybe you need to pause this episode for a minute. Maybe you're going for a walk, or you're on the treadmill, or you're doing something else. Maybe you're multitasking, but I just want to get you in that mindset of like, what do you love doing? What do you love talking about? That's going to make this process a whole lot easier, because at first you don't get paid to create the class. So it has to be rewarding in and of itself. If you don't find enjoyment in that part of it, it really is just going to make it a whole lot more difficult. So that is step number 1. Think about it, write it down. If you don't know, maybe ask your partner or a sibling or your mom or your dad or someone that's close to you. What is the thing that you think I'm good at? What do you find that I am always talking about? They may have an idea for you. They may let you know. You may already know. You may be like, yes, chocolate chip cookies. That's my thing. I love chocolate chip cookies. I'm the best at chocolate chip cookies. I could teach a class on how to make the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. So think about it, and then come back for question number 2, part 2 of this brainstorming session. Hopefully you've had a chance to think about some of those things that you love doing, that you love spending your time on. And that brings us to the second part in this process of narrowing down what you can teach. And that is the answer to this question. What are you good at? What problems can you solve? And ideally, this is going to be something that you also love. In an ideal world, we want the answer to be like, I love this thing and I'm also good at it. So you may think of something that you love doing that you're not really that good at. You like it, but you don't really have the skills to teach it. One thing that pops to mind when I think about this would be golf. There's a lot of people, myself included, that love golf that are just not good at it. They would never be able to teach a class on golf. They don't know enough about how to be a good golfer, but they still love it. So that's an example of a thing that you love doing that you probably shouldn't teach a class on. And then on the other side of that coin, you may think of something that you are good at, or a problem that you know how to solve, that you don't want to teach a course on. So for an example, you may be the best closet organizer in the world. You may have some of those Marie Kondo type skills, and you know how to get everything fitting in the drawers right and everything looking good in the closet, but you might hate doing that. So that's an example of a thing that you may be good at that you're not going to want to spend time creating a course on. Like I said, ideally, this is going to be something that you love doing and that you're also good at. When I think about that for myself, I love making videos. I love editing videos. I also think I'm pretty good at doing those things. And I have ideas about those things that I would be able to share with young students. Now, this thing, it could also be kind of a softer skill, something that you may be good at that perhaps you wouldn't think is a course. Maybe you've had a lot of experience like explaining really difficult life topics or life emotions to young children. Maybe you've lost 6 pets, family pets, in the last 5 years, and you've had to explain to your 3 children, here's what happened to little Sparky. This is where our animals now are. You may have that skill set. You may be really good at that. Now, do you love doing it? I'm not sure. That's a question for you, but that could be a course. How to talk about these difficult things with young learners. Maybe it could be like, I don't know, let's get into the world of bullying. I think bullying is something that kids need to learn more about. They need to learn how to be more empathetic towards one another and compassionate. So maybe you used to get bullied when you were a kid, and you have some ideas on how to deal with bullies, or how to deal with bullies online. You know, there are an infinite number of topics that you may be really good at. You may have a skill set for that someone else doesn't. This could be the course that you could offer. So the same as we did before, you may need to take a moment to pause the podcast and give that some thought. If you're a list writer, maybe you could make a list of things that you love doing, and then make another list of things that you're really, really good at, and see if there are any things that come up that are on both sides of those lists. That could be a good starting point for your course. And these don't have to be super elaborate things. You don't have to teach, the history of the universe. It could be something as simple, like I've seen on Outschool, an actual course, how to tie your shoe. You may have a really fun way to teach kids how to tie their shoe. Like, these are all skills. These are things that can be offered on Outschool. These are classes that parents are looking for. I've seen how to start a YouTube channel. I've seen people doing like sing-alongs. You could be a really good singer. I heard someone or saw someone teaching like the history of Disney. If you've been to Disney 85 times in the last 25 years and you just know everything there is to know about Disney, like, there are other people like you out there. There are other parents like you out there, and you have something to offer their family and their children. So take some time, give it some thought, write out those 2 lists, or just think of it. What do you love and what are you good at? And then we're going to come back for question number 3. All right, the final stage of our brainstorming session here. So hopefully you've had some time to think about those things that you love doing, that you're also good at. And then I think the third piece of this puzzle is, what are parents willing to pay for? That is probably the most important part of this puzzle, because you may have a course that you've created about a thing that you love, that you're really good at, that nobody wants. And that's obviously a less than ideal situation. So, the example that kept coming into my head was yodeling. You might love yodeling. You might be so good at yodeling. You might be one of the best yodelers in America. Are people going to pay for a yodeling class for their kid? Now, they might, but I know for me in Eastern Canada, we don't have a big yodeling scene, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of parents around here who are going to rush to sign their kids up for that yodeling class. It may be different where you are, but I think that's just a really important thing to consider. What do you love? What are you good at? And also, what will parents pay for? And this is kind of where I hit a little bit of a hurdle or a little bit of a speed bump in creating my course, because I'm doing a circus and juggling class. I love juggling and I'm really good at it, but I wasn't sure if parents would pay for that. It's kind of, a quote unquote, like a useless skill. It's a fun thing to do. It's nice, but I had to find some way to tie it to a bigger idea, right? So I didn't want to just teach juggling for the sake of juggling. I wanted some kind of, deeper ideas to be attached to the course. So what I came up with was, I'm going to use juggling as a way to teach kids about the importance of practice, patience, and hard work. Those are 3 things that are keys to success in any area of life. So I'm kind of, creating this fun and lighthearted course in juggling and tying it to some loftier ideas. Just give that some consideration when you're coming up with your course. Not only what do you love, not only what are you good at, but also what will parents pay for? And if you don't think that parents are going to pay for the course that you've come up with or the idea that you have, or you're unsure, maybe you're 50-50, some people might, some people wouldn't, here's what you could do. Number one, you could email or message 10 parents that you know and ask them, people who you think would give you some honest feedback. Would you ever pay for a course like this for your kid? Do you think it's worth it? How much would you pay? Would you pay $8? Would you pay $15? That could be a starting point. The other starting point could be to create a one-off class. So on Outschool, you have the option to either create a one-time class, you can create an ongoing class, or maybe a 2 or 3 part class. That's what I've done with my juggling class. It's starting out as a 2-part class. Or you can teach like a whole course. You could teach, 19 lessons on X, Y, or Z. So before you get into spending all the time and all the effort and all the energy on creating a semester-long course, you want kind of a proof of concept. So I think if you're unsure about your area, try to create just a one-off course, a 30-minute class, list it. You don't even have to create the course until people sign up for it. You could create the little trailer and write out the description of what the course will be. And then when you see that students are signing up for it, then you can spend the time to really fill it out and build out that course. That maybe isn't the ideal way. Maybe that's not the way that Outschool would suggest that you create your course, but I think that will help to really quickly give you an indication of whether or not parents will pay for your course. For me, I'm still learning that. My juggling course so far has 3 students signed up. I have set the maximum limit to 12. So, right now I'm at very low enrollment. So I'm going to see over the next couple of weeks if this is sustainable, if I need to lower the price, if I need to add something else to the course, if it needs to be longer. So part of this is trial and error. You're not going to know right away if your course is going to be successful. But if you want to start creating courses and you want to start really setting yourself up for long-term success on Outschool, I think that's where you start. What do you love doing? What are you good at? What will parents pay for? And once you find an area that parents will pay for, then you can start building out other classes that are related to that. If you're really into cooking, I keep coming back to cooking because that's something that I love doing. Let's say you're into baking. Instead of saying, I'm going to offer a baking course, this is going to be a 9-part baking course, you just start with the cookies. I'm doing one class for 45 minutes. We're going to make cookies. If you find that you have a lot of parents and children, interested in that lesson, maybe the next one is, okay, we did chocolate chip cookies, and then you're doing shortbread cookies. And then maybe you're doing date squares or cinnamon rolls, or you can expand from there. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to build a 19-part course right from the beginning. You can just build one little component and use that as a barometer to see if parents and students are going to sign up for it. Hopefully that's given you a few ideas or kind of got you thinking in the right direction as it relates to how you're going to create your course. And if you want more ideas, I really would encourage you just to create an Outschool profile. You can sign up as a parent and a teacher at the same time. So when you create your account, it gives you both options. I'm currently getting emails from Outschool asking me, what would you like to sign your children up for? And I don't have children. I don't want to sign them up for anything because they don't exist. But I can still go on there and cruise through all of the listings as if I were a parent and see what kind of classes other teachers are offering. So that could give you a good sense. You could get some ideas from what other people are offering and just kind of tailor it to you and your skill set and your current situation. I'm going to leave an application link in the description of this podcast. So if you found this helpful and you want to help me out by using that referral link, that would be awesome. And you're also going to get a $20 credit if you are signing up as a parent. So when you create your account, you'll get $20 that you can use towards booking a class for your child if you have one. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. I do hope that that was a useful brainstorming session. And if it was, please feel free to reach out to me on social media and let me know. The best places to connect with me are on YouTube and Instagram. My Instagram handle is @teacher__Michael. You can find me on YouTube by searching Teacher Michael. And of course, I'm always available through my website, teachermichaelonline.com. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a fantastic year, and until the next episode, have fun teaching. See ya!